All right, guys, this is the fun part. So, knocking on doors. It's a little intimidating, sure, can be. I get that. But by far, knocking on doors is per lead the most effective way to get deals. Now, it takes more time, obviously, yes, and you may be asking yourself if you're in this category, you have some time and you have a lot of time. It's like, should I spend my time door knocking or should I spend my time making cold calls or should I be networking? Where should I spend my time? If you don't have access to a ton of leads, then door knocking is really good because if I only got 10 leads, that's all I had, I would door knock those leads. But if I had like 1,000 leads, I would cold call them, right? Now, obviously, there's plenty of ways of getting the 1,000 leads and things like that. So it really depends on the time you want to put into it and everything else. So this is cool. I love door knocking. Um, I do things a little bit different than some of the other mentors, which is great. I did learn a ton from Maylee Nelson. She's a beast, first of all, when it comes to door knocking. Like, absolutely amazing. So, let's talk a little bit about psychology of the seller that you're door knocking. Most likely, they are if the lead is anything with them being in some sort of trouble, foreclosure, bankruptcy, that kind of thing. Well, you're probably not the first person to knock on the door, and so their walls are up all the time. And when you knock on the door, even if they haven't had too many other investors knock on them, what do they think you are? You think you're a salesperson. That's what they think. They're like, oh, great. One of those windows. They're gonna try to sell me windows or solar or whatever. So how excited are they to talk to you? They're instantly suspicious. They're instantly like, okay, what's the deal, bro? They just want to get to the point, like, what's going on? 100% understandable. I get it. So we need to break down their shields, their walls quickly. In the video about body language, I go through a couple steps. But we're going to talk about some other stuff, how to break it down. With door knocking, on what to say, it's a little bit different than just like calling the phone. I prefer the backdoor approach. So the backdoor approach when knocking on doors, it's the script is a little bit different, right? So um, I'll knock on the door, and as far as like the script goes, I'll just say like, hey, like even if I know this person is going through foreclosure, okay, hey, knock on the door, Lancer. And we're gonna skip through some of the body language stuff because that's in a whole other video. Um, I use the stammering old men, by the way, so this is true for phone calls and also for door knocking. It's great for first content. The stammering old man is a good strategy to use for the beginning of the call. Then you taper it off so you sound like an actual professional down the road. Okay, so the stammering old man is someone confused. That's it. I've been doing similar things before I even knew this was a strategy, just because it wasn't on purpose. Okay, just so my superpower. The reason why I do so well in door knocking and cold calling is because I'm awkward as heck. Those are my secrets. That's my superpowers. Awkward as heck. So it's good that you don't know what to say. It's good that you're not polished. I wouldn't even memorize the script. I maybe have some bullet points for you, which I'm going to give you here, but don't even memorize the script. Go and actually have a genuine conversation. Like, have an idea of what you need to ask as far as like questions and where you want to take the conversation. Yes, you don't need to know everything. Okay. So when I knock on the door, and we go over a little bit of this in the body language stuff, but I'm not looking at them, right? I'm kind of looking around. And when they ask, like, hey, are you excuse me, back up. So they answer the door, and I'll say, "Oh, are you um, the homeowner?" And if I have a clip, and I should have a clipboard or something. No, not a clipboard. That's kind of like sometimes it's like a notebook or something. Yeah, or even some papers. I don't like clipboards because it seems too much salesy. But must be. Are you the homeowner? And they're like, well, yeah. Why? What are you on about? What's going on? Yeah, you're like, yeah. S- my name's Jared. Sorry, I'm with a company. We're actually planning to buy 4 or 5 properties in this neighborhood, and really we came to ask for your help. So stop right there. So when they're asking for help, people naturally want to help someone. It's like if you're asking a question, they naturally want to answer it, whether they know, like you, or trust you. You ask someone a question, if they hate you, they're probably going to answer it. It's hard for them not to answer a question. Okay, so I'm asking for help, not asking to sell or buy anything. I'm asking for help. It's different. So yeah, if you can help me, before we get into a neighborhood like this and invest, millions of dollars into buying properties, we kind of like to see and have a conversation with a few of the neighbors and just get a feel for the neighborhood and see if it's even worth our time and efforts, because we'll come in, we'll buy properties, we'll fix them up, and then sell them at top dollar, which is really great because it actually raises the value of your home. And so what we're doing, I mean, it does help everyone else as far as raising the value of your home. So when you do want to sell eventually, you'll even sell even more. So pause right there. I'm telling them what's in it. What's in it for them. It's always what's in it for them. Whenever you're talking to a seller, whenever you're talking to contact networking, the conversation you be in is what's in it for them, not for you. Okay. So now that they know that what you do is you fix things up, sell at top dollar, which also increases the value of their home. Like, oh, okay. So now they're incentivized to help you, to help you. Okay. And so you start asking some of these questions. One question is like, yes, is you got a minute? Are you the homeowner, right? Like, what's your name? I'm Jared. So you get the name, bam, you got it. And so like, how long have you lived in this neighborhood? So now I know like how long they live there, right? Oh, 2 years, 10 years, and whatever they say, it's like, oh, you're just the person I want to talk to. So, oh, we just moved in last week. Oh, you're just the person I want to talk to. We wanted to get a fresh perspective of the neighborhood. That's amazing. Oh, you've been here. I've been here for 20 years. Oh, yes, yes. Like you get excited. Like, oh, you're the exact person I wanted to talk to because you've been here for 20 years. You know everything about this neighborhood. And so now it's you're almost like excited to talk to them, and they're like, oh, it makes them feel special. So now they get to help someone, and you're making them feel special. Plus, you're helping them raise the value of their home. Do you see the layers we're kind of twinkling, layering in there? Okay, and oh, great. You're just the person you talk to. That's amazing. Okay, cool. Is it close to? Is this house like close to your work? I mean, do you have to travel very far? Is it the commute's pretty good? And not so much I don't care about the commute, but this is letting me know if they're actually working or not. Like, oh, actually got laid off. Oh, you got laid off? And as you're talking to people, this is true for phone calls. This is true for any type of conversations with sellers, negotiations. It's the mirror technique, which is will be. I'll go into more details in the negotiations section. So check that out, the mirror technique. But basically, it's repeating back the last 3 words or the last few important words that they say, and then shutting up, and then it'll be creating awkward silence, and they'll continue. So like, oh yeah, I don't. I mean, I used to. It wasn't so far when I had a job. Like, oh yeah, when you had a job, or that was the wrong tone. Sorry. Oh, when you had a job, like almost like in concern tonality, and then you shut up and look at him. Oh yeah, I got canned a little while ago, but yeah. Oh, you got canned. And you just shut up. This is hard for me to learn, so for me to shut up, right? So you just that's what I'm talking about. Like you don't want scripts. You want a natural conversation, right? And that may or may not come up at that point, right? So at that point, you can kind of go in. You can just start talking about some of their pain points and like, then again, we'll go to that point in a second. So, all right. So we find out about how's the neighbors, because and then when I asked him about how the neighbors, this is where I'm still amazed at how much of the tea people are willing to spill to a complete stranger. As far as like the gossip, everything. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but I always am. Just the amount of gossip people are willing to share with their neighbors, it's amazing. So the amount of gossip is insane. So I'll still ask him, so or once I get past their job and everything, I'll say, so what we do, we I should tell you exactly kind of how we help people. We What we do is we help people going through challenges in their life, transitional phases. I mean, people going through foreclosure, for example. Did you know, by the way, there's like 4 or 5 people in this neighborhood that's going through foreclosure right now. So one, even if they are going through foreclosure, we're playing like we don't know they're going through foreclosure, and now they're not alone. Before, every other investor was knocking on the door, was calling them. They were felt attacked. It's the worst time of their lives. Like emotionally, if you're going through foreclosure, it is the worst time of your life, pure and simple. Like I've had conversations where the spouse didn't know what the situation they were in. It was really bad. It's not a fun conversation to have, trust me. But now how we're doing this, because it's the backdoor approach, right? So we're getting past those walls, and we're not like, hey, I want to buy your house yet. And so like, oh yeah, there's like 3 or 4 foreclosures going in this neighborhood right now. For them, it's like, oh, kind of, it's almost like a relief. It really is, because now they're not alone, and you're not after them. It removes all sales resistance. So, so yeah, there's like 3 or 4 properties in this neighborhood that looks like going to foreclosure right now. It's crazy. And also, we help people that's going through like divorce, that maybe they need to sell their property pretty quick, or they lost their job, bankruptcy, any situation people may want to sell quickly. We'll buy it in cash, because otherwise, if the bank took it or they went through the foreclosure process, it usually tanks. I mean, I know people that it'll tank their record for like 7 years or something, and they lose all the equity in their home. It's just not a good situation, and then usually get some slumlord renting or buying the place is just not great for anybody. And so we come in, we give them a fair market offer, we buy the house, fix it up, and that's where we make our money, because we fix it up, increase the value. And so I kind of, through that little conversation, guys, I'm telling them what we do. I've told them about the foreclosure and how we can stop it and how we help them, because and also the consequences if we don't. And also I sprinkled in divorce, change of job. The reason why I do this: change of job, bankruptcy, new any type of life challenges, kind of thing. When or somebody lost their job or whatever. So now all of those words are kind of in there, and also I'll ask them like, so you don't know anyone that's going through something like this, do you? You don't know if you wouldn't know anyone that might be going through some challenge like that, do you? So 90% of the time, what they'll do, oh yeah, and they'll point out to their neighbors and say, yeah, Sandra and Bob, they're getting divorced, actually. Oh, okay, cool. Great. Sandra and Bob, they're getting divorced. So doing it this way, even or they'll say like, oh yeah, if you're knocking on the person's door, uh, let me pause real quick. I'm gonna show you the technique of how to what door to knock on first. So hang on one second. We'll pause this real fast. Okay, so this is the strategy on driving, or excuse me. This is the strategy of knocking on doors, and the area and how we do this. Okay, so check this out. So let's just say this property right here is our notice of default. Okay, so this is the NOD, notice of default. It's supposed to be a D. Okay, right there. Now we can go and knock on his door and use the exact same script that we just talked about. Okay. However, what I do is this is the last door you're gonna knock on. Because you can like sure knock on this door, they may or may not be there, and then drive 5 blocks over, knock on the next one. That's a big waste of time. This is a way where you can break through their emotional walls here of the notice of default and get a ton more leads. So this is what you do. So what I do, I knock on the notice of default dead last. I knock on that door last. And so I'll start knocking on doors that they can see me. So I'll start knocking on this one. And I'll knock on this one. Then I'll knock on this one. I'll knock on that one. I'll knock on this one. And I'll start just going over and knocking on these doors. Now you're probably wondering, well, what am I going to say? The exact same script. So I'll say, hey, I'll knock on this person's door. And I'll like, hey, my name is Jared. I use the same, stammering old man. I'm I'm with a company. We're going to buy, 4 or 5 properties within this neighborhood. Before we do, we just want to make sure that uh, that it's worth investments. And so getting with the neighbors and finding out a little bit about the neighborhood and about, what how they feel about it really helps out a lot. Could you help me for a little bit? And they're like, well, yeah, I mean, sure, I guess I can answer a few questions. Like, oh, you're amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, because we buy properties, we fix them up, and the great thing is that we sell it at top dollar because we fixed it up, and it actually raises the value of all the neighbors in the neighborhood. Um, I just made money just now. Anyways, that was that noise. That was funny. Anyways, and I, I'm just wondering if you can help me out answer a few questions, and so I'll ask them about their how they feel about the neighborhood, how long they've been there. They've been there. Oh, you've been there 5 years. Oh, perfect. You're just the person I need to talk to. That's amazing. Oh, perfect. You're not been here forever, but you've been here long enough to know kind of the ropes. It's amazing. It's awesome. Perfect. How do you feel about the neighborhood? How do you feel? Do you have any troublemakers in the neighborhood? Whatever you want to say, right? Or the basic. Those questions kind of don't necessarily matter too much. And then you say what we do. We fix up properties. We help people going through foreclosure. Usually they're when people are about to lose their home, when the banks take over, they lose all the equity that usually can stay. I know people that when that's happened, it can stay on their credit for like 7 years. It's a really bad situation. We help people going through for divorce, they need to sell their house quickly. We just get them out real quick. And bankruptcy, loss of job that just need, maybe they got a new job and they move quickly, you know, uh, Oh, by the way, like almost as a side thought. By the way, do you know anyone that might be going through something like that? And so now I went through my whole script, right? And now this guy here, let's say Billy. I don't like the you're going to use. So let's say Billy right here. He's going to spill the tea of his neighbors. Like, oh yeah, Jill over here, they're getting divorced. And over here in that house, uh, Bob lost his job. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. And if you know anyone that's you know anyone else is looking to sell, and we actually buy them, I make sure to give you a referral fee. So I'll talk to them about referral fees, which is the mindset is that you're always leaving with something, always leaving with something. So now Billy's like, oh yeah, great. I just gave a referral for Jill and Bob. So I'm gonna go over my next stop. At that point, I'm skipping everything else. I'm just gonna go over to Jill's house. And when I knock on the door, I'm gonna tell them that Bill sent me. I was just talking to your neighbor Bill, and I was telling him kind of what we do and how we help people and the reason why we're in here because we just want to get a feel for the neighborhood. Um, I mean, is there any way can you help us for a little bit? And so now we can say that Bill sent me over here because you might be interested in selling your home. Usually for a life changing event or whatever, you kind of leave it vague. And Jill can be like, oh yeah, actually yeah. So us by knocking on these doors, we just got a lead for Jill and we have a lead for Bob. And we haven't even talked to the notice of default yet. We haven't even talked to this person yet. So after we talk to Jill, And then we say the same thing. Oh, these are the type of people who help. Do you know anyone like that? Oh yeah, Sally. My pen does not want to write. Sally, whatever. That's how Sally spells her name, so don't worry about it. Sally over here, yeah. I know she's lost. I know she hasn't paying her bills or anything. I hate that lady. Should buy her house. Okay, cool. So now I remember. Now I'm gonna remember, Jill and Sally, and I'm gonna go over to Bob, and I'm gonna say, hey, Bob, I was actually over at Jill's house, but before that, I was talking to Bill. By the time you're done with this, you're going to know more. You're going to know all the names of the neighbors, and you need to have a mental note when they're saying or write it down. When they're saying the names, make sure you write that down, or if you remember it, even better. And so when you're talking to the neighbors, you're going to say, "Oh yeah, I was just talking to Jill. I was just talking to Sally. I was talking to Bill, and they were telling me about." And you keep bringing up the neighbors. Keep bringing up the neighbors as you're building knowledge and information. Because now by the time then when I jump over here talking to Sally, like I've talked to 3 different neighbors, like I'm talking about all of their stuff, not necessarily spilling those beans, but in a casual conversation, I was just talking to Bob, and anything they say, like, oh yeah, this is a great neighborhood, it's phenomenal. Oh, Bob said the same thing down there. You're reinforcing that you are now every door knock after this, I am a referral. I am not. This is not a cold calling. This is not a cold door knocking. This is a warm. We are referrals. Every single one of these referrals. The beauty of doing this strategy, one, you're going to get a lot more leads off of one notice of default, and by the time you actually get to the notice of default, because after you got, let's just say Sally doesn't want to give us any more information, and that was the last person. Okay, great. Then we'll just knock on this person's door, and then like you still drop. Oh yeah, I was just talking to Sally, your neighbor. Yeah, she's a piece of work, isn't she? I mean, only be negative if they're. Don't be negative, but you don't want to say that. But if they start harping on them, I'll tend to agree. So I kind of mirror their energy, so anyways, but I still have all of the information of the neighbors and bringing up in casual conversation as in saying the reason we're out here. We just talking to Bob and Jilly. They were so you're telling, we talked to all these people about the neighborhood, and it's almost like, oh, I don't want to be not part of that. I don't want to be an outcast. So yeah, I'll tell you a little about my opinion about the neighborhood. And like, oh, by the way, this person, this, and this, that. Oh yeah, this, and then you get an appointment to talk about selling the house with over here, with John. And so by the time we actually get to the notice of default, let's just say Jay over here is the notice of default. By the time we get to Jay, he's noticed, because if he's a notice of default, he's probably had a couple of investors knock on his door anyways. Okay, that's probably like an already thing. He doesn't know what we're doing, and he's probably on his, because especially if you're going through this, your eyes are on different people in the neighborhood, because you're also behind on your car payments. You're also behind on your utilities. So you tend to look out the window more, looking for the repo man to take back the cars and things like that. It's not fun, but that's kind of the situation that they're in. So they're going to notice you knocking on all these doors. And then by the time you get to their door, they're like, I've had people knock on the door and like, oh, about time you came to my house. So not only are we getting more leads, we are building curiosity for Jay and anyone else that's in the neighborhood, because we're walking around. And by the time I got to Jay's house, the notice of default, they probably already told me everything about Jay's story already that they know, or their guests or whatever. Again, you will be shocked on how much gossip they will tell you by using the script, guys. You will be shocked. And so now they're going to tell me all the information I need to kind of get in. I already know a lot of this stuff just through the gossip, whether it's true or not. And sometimes if it's not true, like, oh yeah, Sally said that you did lose your job. Like, wow, what does she know? I didn't lose my job. I just got suspended. Like, oh, okay. People, even if he didn't want to say he got suspended to me, he will naturally want to correct me, because if you say something wrong, you can even assume something, and people will correct with the truth, even if it's something they don't really want to tell you. It's a natural thing. Because if I ask you by your name, you're gonna be like, oh, you have to fight the urge not to say your name if you don't want to say the name, right? Let's get back out to the regular. Hang on a second. Guys, this strategy works. I mean, this is phenomenal. So again, even if you have a short amount of leads, and you can take one lead and it's going to turn you into 5, 10, 20 leads, depending how much time you want to put into this. Okay. So again, you will be shocked on the amount of gossip and everything else that the tea that people are willing to spill once you're at their door. And another trick, as far as like, well, that's gonna be in the body language. We'll skip that too. But check out the body language portion of the door knocking. That's some good stuff too. But yeah, make sure to we we are going to go door knocking in together live. Check the calendar for the date, and in the next call, if you're watching this, make sure to ask about it, and because we want to see the intrigue. If no one wants to go door knocking, I'm not going to go door knocking. Okay, but you really should, because it's a really amazing, really good strategy, especially if you have the time. Okay, so I love it, guys. Make sure to put in there how many doors you're going to knock on, when you're going to go door knocking. One thing I do want to mention about the safety, I should back up a little bit. So make sure you want to always be safe. So if you're going door knocking, don't go by yourself. Bring a buddy, and make sure you're going during the time that is light. Ladies, if you're going, make sure to let me, and this is true for males or females, but especially ladies, make sure that everyone knows where you're at, and you're going with a buddy, especially. And if you're knocking on doors, if it's just a guy there and he's like, yeah, sure, come on, let's talk about selling my house. Don't go without someone. That's all I'm saying. Let's just be safe. I rather you be safe and not get a deal versus getting a deal or getting your head shut off. Okay. It's safe, but let's be real. Humans are humans, and some humans are bad. So safety first. Um, and guys, in the body language, as far as like knocking on doors, and if it's like a female, you can be intimidated, but there's ways that we can break that intimidation so they don't feel so intimidated with you or by you. Okay. All right. Awesome, guys. Excited. Love it. Peace out.